2, 1.
Atlas engine ignition.
Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Delta IV Heavy rocket.
At Space Launch Complex 41, an Atlas V rocket is fueled and ready to launch the NROL-52 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office. Good morning and welcome to Cape Canaveral Air Force Station. I'm Anton Kolomitz. I'm a mechanical engineer with ULA's Human and Commercial Systems Group, and I'm joining you today for mission control inside the Atlas Space Flight Operations Center. The launch team isn't currently working any vehicle issues, and we are proceeding towards liftoff at 3:28 a.m. Eastern Time. A few seconds from now, the count will enter a planned 15-minute hold. There are 2 planned holds in our nearly 7-hour launch count. The planned holds give our team additional time to resolve any issues prior to entering the terminal count at T-minus 4 minutes. At the request of our customer, today's live coverage will conclude following payload fairing jettison, which is scheduled to take place about 4.5 minutes after liftoff. The weather has certainly been challenging here on Florida's Space Coast. Clay Flynn, the 45th Space Wing's weather officer, recently provided the final launch forecast, and things have improved from yesterday's launch attempt. Weather is currently within today's launch commit criteria. Let's take a look at the numbers. The probability of violating launch constraints is 20%, the ground winds are 16 to 20 knots out of the east, and the temperature is 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So with that forecast, we are proceeding towards a planned T0 of 3:28 a.m. Eastern. After liftoff, the Atlas V will fly a southeasterly heading away from our launch pads here at Cape Canaveral. Let's take a quick look at what else you can expect to see this morning.
The following profile details the important events of this mission using approximate times.
5, 4, 3, 2. We have RD-180 ignition and we have liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket.
The Atlas RD-180 main engine and 2 solid rocket boosters ignite to lift the vehicle away from the pad. Shortly after liftoff, Atlas begins its initial pitch, yaw, and roll maneuvers to attain the proper ascent profile and minimize aerodynamic loads. The Atlas V reaches Mach 1, the speed of sound, at 47 seconds. At 52 seconds, the vehicle experiences maximum dynamic pressure. At 1 minute 31 seconds, the 2 SRBs burn out, followed by jettison 38 seconds later. Approaching booster engine cutoff, the Atlas V is burning propellant at a rate of 2,028 pounds per second, traveling at approximately 11,588 miles per hour and located 67 miles in altitude and 209 miles downrange. Booster engine cutoff occurs 4 minutes, 10 seconds after liftoff. 6 seconds later, the booster stage is jettisoned. The first Centaur main engine start takes place 10 seconds after booster separation. At 4 minutes 34 seconds, the payload fairing is jettisoned.
NROL-52 is the 74th Atlas V mission and the 122nd ULA flight. This mission uses the Atlas V 421 configuration. Produced in Decatur, Alabama and Harlingen, Texas, the Atlas V 421 includes a common core booster powered by an RD-180 engine, 2 Aerojet Rocketdyne solid rocket boosters, and a Centaur second stage powered by an Aerojet Rocketdyne RL-10C1 engine. The satellite is protected during ascent by a 4-meter diameter payload fairing. On September 26th, the NROL-52 payload encapsulated inside the fairing was transported to the VIF and mated to the Centaur. The launch countdown begins with moving the rocket from the VIF to the pad. The quarter-mile trip began using 6 components to complete the 20-minute trip. Weighing in at about 2 million pounds, the Mobile Launch Platforms, or MLP, supports the rocket and contains air conditioning, electrical, and commodities. while the undercarriages bear the weight of the MLP and the rocket. Two rail cars lead the move, with the payload van providing communication to the payload, while the ground van houses the ground support for the rocket. At the rear of the convoy, the portable environmental control system provides air conditioning to the payload and rocket. Finally, track mobiles provide the power to move the 3.5 million pound convoy. The Atlas V rocket stands 195 feet tall, or about 20 stories, and weighs about 1,000,000 pounds fully fueled. The RD-180 main engine and two solid rocket boosters produce approximately 1.5 million pounds of thrust to lift the rocket off the pad and begin its trip to orbit.
Terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds a launch constraint anytime after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold, hold, hold on channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold.
Today's launch is for the National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO. The NRO is a joint organization engaged in the research and development, acquisition, launch, and operation of innovative overhead reconnaissance systems necessary to meet the needs of the intelligence community and the Department of Defense. The NRO is recognized for its transformational intelligence collection systems that are used to develop highly accurate military targeting data, support international peacekeeping and humanitarian relief operations, and to assess the impact of natural disasters. The NRO provided artwork for today's mission, which is visible on the payload fairing. The mission patch features an eagle, which represents the NRO's power and strength, as well as the L-52 payload joining the existing constellation of NRO capabilities. Defensor Libertatis, which translates to Defender of Freedom, symbolizes the NRO's commitment to providing critical capabilities and their commitment to the greater mission. We took some aerial footage of the Atlas V on the launch pad a couple hours ago. As many of the die-hard launch fans out there can attest, weather has been a bit of a challenge for our launch campaign over the past few days. There's a saying down here in Florida, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes and it will change. And the forecast is definitely looking a lot more favorable this morning as we continue towards T0. Some of these views that you're looking at of Slick 41, you can see the crew access tower right here behind the Atlas V. That crew access tower will be used by astronauts flying on an Atlas V to the International Space Station.
For his dedication to spaceflight and his support to many NRO missions. This morning's flight is also dedicated in memory of Terry Scott Duncan, who recently lost his courageous battle with cancer. Terry leaves behind an extraordinary legacy of accomplishment at the NRO. Frank and Terry will be forever memorialized with the liftoff of NRO L-52.
L minus 10 minutes.
Perform launch on time verification.
Roger.
Place SRB ignition and SNA switch in enable position.
SRB ignition enabled.
Verify the FCO, RCO, and OSM hold fire switches are in the proceed position.
Ready to proceed.
Verify redline monitor and event table are in the correct configuration for terminal count.
Verified.
Verify solar radiation acceptable for launch.
Verified.
Launch on time verified.
Roger.
L minus 8 minutes.
LC switch to ready position. All steps complete prior to the status check.
We remain in the planned 15-minute built-in hold as preparations for the launch continue. In a few moments, launch conductor Dylan Rice will poll the launch team for the final go to pick up the countdown. 29 engineers and managers are polled for system status and readiness to proceed with the launch. This is the final status check for all Atlas vehicle systems, ground systems, the spacecraft, and the U.S. Air Force Eastern Range. The readiness poll includes hydraulics, pad water deluge system, electrical systems, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight controls, and propellants. Let's listen in as launch conductor Dylan Rice performs the final polling of the team.
L minus 7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count, Atlas systems, propulsion,
Go.
hydraulics,
Go.
pneumatics,
Go.
LO2,
Go.
water,
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion,
Go.
pneumatics,
Go.
LO2,
Go.
LH2,
Go.
HASGAS,
Go.
electrical systems, airborne,
Go.
ground,
Go.
facility,
Go.
RFFTS,
Go.
flight control,
Go.
GC cubed,
Go.
comm,
Go.
timer,
Go.
umbilicals,
Go.
ECS,
Go.
redline monitor,
Go.
quality,
Go.
op safety manager,
Go.
ULA safety officer,
Go.
vehicle system engineer,
Go.
anomaly chief,
ACs go.
range coordinator,
Clear to proceed.
launch director.
MD, the launch vehicle is ready to launch.
Mission director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count. Timer. Set count to start at 0724 Zulu for a planned T0 of 0728 Zulu.
Roger. Count will start at 0724 Zulu for a planned T0 of 07280 Zulu.
Polling is complete and the launch team has given the go for launch. From T-minus 4 minutes until launch, you will be listening to Dylan Rice and his team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. You'll hear the team confirm securing of Atlas liquid oxygen topping, followed by the call to transfer the Atlas and Centaur stages from ground facility power to internal battery power. At T-minus 1 minute and 55 seconds, the team will command the launch sequencer to start, followed shortly by securing the Centaur liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen topping activity. At T-minus 1 minute and 40 seconds, the team will command the flight control system to launch enable and arm the flight termination system. In the final minute, the Atlas tanks will be verified at flight pressures, followed with verification of the Centaur tank pressures. A final status check of Atlas, Centaur, and NROL-52 readiness is conducted at T-minus 25 seconds. Seconds before liftoff, the RD-180 engine ignites and performs a health check, followed by ignition of the two solid rocket boosters to lift the vehicle off the pad. After liftoff, you'll hear the voice of Marty Malinowski providing flight commentary.
On my mark, the time will be T-minus 4 minutes and counting. 3, 2, 1, mark.
359. 355.
Ground pyros enabled.
The countdown clock has resumed, and we are go for launch at 3:28 a.m. Eastern.
340. 330. 315. 3 minutes.
Securing LO2 topic.
Atlas tanks to flight pressure.
250.
FTS internal.
Two minutes. 159. 158.
Vehicle
157.
internal.
155.
On sequencer start.
150.
Securing Centaur LH2.
Securing Centaur LO2.
140.
Launch enabled.
137.
FTS armed.
T-minus 90 seconds. The launch vehicle, payload, ground systems, and eastern range are go for launch.
120.
OCU's armed.
118.
SCS count started.
115. 110. 109.
Vent valves locked.
Rock, report range status.
Range green.
54. 40.
Stable at step 3.
30. 29. 28. 27. 25.
Status check.
Go Atlas.
Go Centaur. Go NROL-52.
20. 16. T-minus 10.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, have ignition. And liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket carrying the NROL-52 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Booster has gone to closed loop PU control. Pitch program's complete. SRB chamber pressures are fully open as expected. And booster has throttled down right outside launch. Response is good. Mach 1. And boosters throttled back up. Max Q. Ready 180 chamber pressures. Good. SRB chamber pressures have plateaued. Booster engines all continue to look very good. Body rates controlling down the middle. And up on SRB burnout momentarily. And we have indication of SRB burnout. Signatures look good. We have throttled back up to 100% thrust. Engine response is good. RD-180 continues to look very good at this point, as the booster is now 50% its liftoff weight. Current altitude is 25 miles, downrange distance 27 miles, current velocity 3,543 miles per hour. And we have indication of 2 good SRB jettisons. And we have begun flying the Q Alpha Limited steering portion of flight. Booster has throttled down right on schedule. RCS pyro valve has been fired. That system is now pressurizing to flight levels. Signatures look good. Current altitude is 42 miles, downrange distance 85 miles, current velocity 6,155 miles per hour. Range track is good. Body rates are as well. Booster is now 1/4 its liftoff weight. Coming up on our 5G throttle segment. Boost phase cooldown has begun. Signatures look good. We have fired the pogo bleed. Now throttling to 4.6 Gs in preparation for BECO. Boost phase cooldown is complete. And we have BECO. Engine shutdown looks good. And we have indication of stage separation. We have LOX and fuel pre-start on the RL-10. GN2 purge firing is underway for the RCS. We have ignition and full thrust on the RL-10. And we have indication of payload fairing jettison. Looks like a clean set. Centaur steering has been enabled.
This is Atlas Mission Control at T plus 5 minutes and 2 seconds. An Atlas V rocket carrying NROL-52 for the National Reconnaissance Office lifted off at 3:28 a.m. Eastern Time, and all systems continue to operate as expected. At our customer's request, we will now conclude this morning's live mission coverage. Before I sign off, I'd like to thank Marty Malinowski for his participation in today's show. For more information on Atlas V or United Launch Alliance, please log on to ulalaunch.com or join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter using hashtag NROL52. We'll leave you now with another look at today's launch. I'm Anton Kolomitz. On behalf of the entire launch team, thank you very much for joining us and have a great day. Ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of the United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket carrying the NROL-52 mission for the National Reconnaissance Office.
Spirit has gone to closed loop view control.